Remember that feeling when you're watching Antiques Roadshow, on the edge of your seat, waiting for the expert to drop a bombshell valuation? It's pure magic, right? The hushed anticipation, the expert's knowing glance, and then, bam! A seemingly ordinary trinket turns out to be a priceless piece of history. But what happens when the reveal isn't a triumphant tale of hidden treasure, but something entirely different? Well, pull up a comfy chair, because we're about to dive into a story that's less priceless antique and more priceless reaction. This isn't just about an old chest of drawers. It's about family stories, expert detective work, and the delightful, slightly stunned moment when reality hits. Back in 1998, in the charming city of Hull, an Antiques Roadshow episode aired that would become truly unforgettable. Our star of the show, a guest who brought in a rather petite chest of drawers, brimming with family history. Generations, she said, had passed it down, with the lore suggesting it dated back to the 18th century. You could practically hear the whispers of Queen Anne and George I floating around it. Now, Antiques Roadshow is famous for its incredible finds, forgotten masterpieces, unexpected treasures, and sometimes items so bizarre they make even the most seasoned experts scratch their heads. But this episode was about to take a unique turn. Enter Christopher Payne, the furniture expert, with a twinkle in his eye and a knack for uncovering the truth. He began his examination, and as he delved deeper, the atmosphere shifted. This wasn't going to be a straightforward valuation. The clues unfold: spiders, stains, and suspicion. Christopher, with his keen eye, started his assessment. He noticed some interesting details right off the bat, things that told a story, albeit a slightly muddled one. The spiders don't necessarily guarantee authenticity, he mused. But when you look at the underneath of this and how it's been constructed, there's clearly been a lot of reconstruction of the feet and the blocking. He pointed out that the way the repairs were done wasn't even trying to mimic old techniques. But he quickly added, that's pretty common with well-loved, worn-out furniture. Feet get replaced, bits get mended. It's the natural life cycle of a cherished piece. He also genuinely appreciated its size, saying, "What I like is this very small size, and the market likes the small size too. It's ostensibly Queen Anne, George I, 1700 to 1720. So far, so good, right? A charming, small piece, fitting a desirable style." The guest then shared the rich tapestry of her family's connection to the chest. The story in the family is that it came into the family with my grandfather's grandmother, who was a housekeeper at a big house in Staffordshire. Imagine that, a piece of furniture with such a delightful origin story. She continued, when she married the gardener, she was supposed to have been given this as a wedding present. Now my grandfather was born in 1854, and it was his grandmother, so that would take it back to about 1820, 1830. The family narrative painted a vivid picture of a piece that had seen generations of love and movement. It felt authentic, steeped in personal history. But Christopher, ever the detective, wasn't done. He turned his attention to a drawer, meticulously scrutinizing its construction. Firstly, it's a well-made drawer. Nice dry oak, exactly what one would expect from the early 18th century. A glimmer of hope. Perhaps the family story held true. Then came the but. You could almost feel the collective intake of breath from the audience. But when you look a bit more closely, the fineness of the dovetails is not brilliant. It's not as well done as I'd like to be. Ah, the telltale signs for an expert. Dovetails are like a signature for furniture makers. Their quality often speaks volumes. And then, the real kicker. I'm suspicious about this staining on the edge here. The stain is the same on the top as along the dovetails, and I have the suspicion somebody has done that to give it a bit of age and wear. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Christopher's voice took on a more serious tone. You have to ask yourself, does that look like nearly 300 years of wear? I don't think it does at all, I'm afraid. When I look at this, I think this is something made at the very earliest at the turn of this century. The guest's face was a picture of dawning realization. The family heirloom, the centuries-old chest. It wasn't what it seemed. And then, Christopher delivered the final, unforgettable blow. I'm going to have to use a word I don't think I've ever used on the Roadshow. I think it's a fake. The word fake hung in the air, a stark contrast to the usual reproduction or later period. The guest, visibly everyone was thinking, oh, Not a reproduction, a real fake. Her surprise was palpable, her voice a mix of disbelief and genuine curiosity. Christopher, ever the clear communicator, clarified the distinction, and it's a crucial one. I think the person who made this intended for it to look old, whereas the reproduction pieces of the 1920s and 1930s were always making things which even to the vaguely trained eye don't look old. This, you need to look at really quite carefully. This wasn't some honest attempt to recreate a style. This was a deliberate effort to deceive. It was crafted with the intention of passing it off as something it wasn't. And that, dear friends, is the difference between a reproduction and a real fake. It required an expert's eye, a seasoned professional, to truly uncover its secret. So, what happens when your cherished, centuries-old family heirloom turns out to be a cleverly disguised fake? You might expect disappointment, even a touch of sadness. But the beauty of this particular Antiques Roadshow moment was the guests' incredible, heartwarming response. Despite the revelation, Christopher still had a valuation for her, because even a well-made fake has market value. He estimated a retail value between £3,000 and £6,000 in current market terms. Not bad for a piece that just had its age slashed by a couple of centuries. And the guest's reaction? It was absolutely priceless. With a genuine smile, she responded, "Oh well, that's lovely. We've always wanted to know the history of it and whether it was old or not. So that settled it." That right there is the true magic of Antiques Roadshow. It's not always about finding a fortune. Sometimes it's about uncovering the truth. It's about demystifying the past, even if that past is a little different from what we imagined. This episode perfectly captured the blend of discovery, expert knowledge, and human reaction that makes the show so beloved. The guest's grace and genuine satisfaction in finally knowing the full story of her chest of drawers was a testament to something deeper than monetary value. It was about knowledge, clarity, and the satisfaction of having a question answered definitively. So, next time you're sifting through old family possessions, wondering about their story, remember this chest of drawers. You never know what secrets they might hold, and you never know what delightful surprises, or even real fakes, an expert eye might uncover. What's the most surprising reveal you've ever witnessed on Antiques Roadshow, or perhaps even experienced yourself with a family item? I'd love to hear your stories.